how would you describe the current state of relations between Egypt and Saudi Arabia?
I believe that Egypt and Saudi Arabia, each of them are important countries and vital countries in the region. The relationships are strategic for decades, either at the bilateral level regarding the trade and economic relationships. It's important as well because Saudi Arabia is the most important partner for Egypt for the Saudi investments in Egypt. In addition to the Egyptians working in Saudi Arabia, the same applies to Egypt's stance towards the regional shifts, especially the war in Gaza that has been conducted for over a year. Both countries are seeking to stop this war, and they are seeking political paths that would guarantee the establishment of the Palestinian state in a manner spreading the peace in the region. Egypt and Saudi Arabia pursuit in this regard do not stop, are not limited to the visit paid by Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. It's rather continuous negotiations and discussions. Last month there was a summit that included Egypt, Saudi Arabia, Jordan, and other countries. Both Egypt and Saudi Arabia have regional and international relationships seeking the stop of this war, either through the relationships between the Saudi-American relationships or through Egypt and Saudi Arabia relationships, and through the circles of decision making and the circles of influence, either with the East represented in China and Russia, or in the West represented in the European Union.
Now, what is the significance of Mohammed bin Salman's visit to Egypt at this time, and what are the main objectives behind this trip?
I believe that the bilateral relationships between both countries are brotherly relations. It's a continuous coordination between both parties in this regard. I think there is an Egyptian-Saudi mutual committee that includes economic purposes, because both countries have economic ambitions, and Egypt over the past few years set strong infrastructure that attracts investments, including Saudi investments. Thousands of companies from Saudi Arabia are working in Egypt. The same applies to Egyptian companies working in the kingdom. I believe that the economic growth between both countries in the mutual investments is very important. Both countries are aspiring an independent development.
Now, sir, in your opinion, what is the most important takeaway from Mohammed bin Salman's visit to Egypt for both countries and the region as a whole?
I think for either Egypt or Saudi Arabia, both countries are keen on limiting the war in Gaza, so it's not escalated at the regional level, either with Iran or Hezbollah, because any regional escalation will mainly affect the interests of both countries from one side, and from another side it will affect the security of Red Sea that Egypt and Saudi Arabia are overlooking it. So they need to guarantee the security of the Red Sea and that it's not affected by any regional shifts. Another point is that there is a coordination and cooperation, an agreement in the vision between Egypt and Saudi Arabia pertaining to the end of war in Gaza and any regional conflicts, because definitely the economic interests in both countries will be affected by any change in this war.